Hi, welcome back. This is really random. I am cleaning up my iPad because I have too many works in progress that I still haven't finished, so I can't edit the videos and delete all the footage. So I'm now going through old footage, and this is a video I recorded about a year ago, last summer. These watercolors that are on screen now, I found maybe 2 years ago, and they're like discontinued vintage whatever cadmium yellow watercolors in like a little cube or like a little rectangle. But then the six ones that you see on the side that I'm taking the wrappers off of now, I found in a thrift store then. And if you love watercolors, you know how rare it is to not only find watercolors in a thrift store, but to find untouched, like nice watercolors that aren't like a kid's set that's been mangled. And I think this is because people are really precious about their art supplies, and also because watercolors last so long and can be so expensive. But I just felt incredibly lucky. I think like an art store must have cleared out their inventory or something, because there was a bunch of these colors there for like a third of the price that they usually are. So I wanted to record it because I love preserving special moments like this, and this just felt absolutely intoxicatingly exciting. So I even saved the wrappers and stuck them in my sketchbook, and I have that sketchbook with me now so I can tell you the colors that I found. So they're also all by Schminke Horadam, which I'm pretty sure is their artist quality brand. And I have a full pan of each color, and so the first color is Brilliant Purple, which is like a really bright, vivid magenta. You'll see in the swatches in a moment. Then there's Rose Madder, which is also pink, but it leans a bit more red. It's like a watermelon red almost. Then Naples Yellow Reddish, which is like a very bright, light peach. Chromium Oxide Green, which is a very earthy green. I think there's another color that's called like Green Earth. It looks very similar to that. Phthalo Green, classic. This one's very bright and very bluish. And then Ultramarine Violet, which is basically like an ultramarine blue that leans really purple. I wouldn't say it's actually purple, but the Brilliant Purple also isn't purple. It's interesting. It's a palette with two colors named purple in there, but neither of them are actually purple. And then in the middle, I have, as I said, the cadmium yellow. I just glued that into the palette because I genuinely wasn't sure how that I would otherwise put it into the palette. Yeah. I'm sure over time it'll act a bit silly, but because I can use all of the pigment, I figured as I run out, it's not like the glue and the paint mixed. So at some point I'll just be scraping paint off of glue, and then I can just glue new ones in. As you saw, I have multiples. This color, which is the Chromium Oxide Green, detached from the pan, which Schminke colors usually don't do, but it's really easy to fix. You just put some water on the bottom and press it back in, and that like reactivates the binder enough to stick it back into the pan. And this is just like a little, I think usually they're called like Meeden palettes. This one I bought in our local art store and like stuck some stickers on. And it's a bit like, I don't know. I don't love it because you can see it has like the plain edge, which makes it really sharp. And it also is a bit floppy, it's a bit loud, it's a bit heavy. And I'm just complaining. It's fine. Here you can see, this is the Brilliant Purple. I love that you call it purple, but to me that is just a bright magenta. But it's beautiful. But I also think that it is a fluorescent color, so it's not going to be super light fast. So I'm going to have to be careful to only use that in sketchbooks, because otherwise it's just going to start fading. There is the Madder Rose. It's a very like softly pigmented color. And I find that even when I try and get a really dark color, it will still it will go kind of gummy, which is interesting. Then the Naples Yellow Reddish is basically 90% white pigment, so it's incredibly opaque, but it is really beautiful. And then this is the Chromium Oxide Green, also a little bit opaque and like already feeling a bit muddy, but I think it's quite pretty. Then here we have the phthalo green. You see how bluish that is. It's so vivid. It's so like an unnatural turquoise color, but I think it's really beautiful and it mixes really nicely. Then the ultramarine violet up there. I've never had a color like this, and I think it is so beautiful, and it has this subtle granulation in it as well. And that's that little set. And now what I'm going to do is, well, okay, after I glue these, I don't know what to call these rectangles, these little sticks of water, I don't know what to call them, but after I glue this in, I'm going to be making a mixing chart, which if you're buying brand new paints, you can see I'm literally gluing them in. If you're buying new paints, it can help you kind of learn how that a certain color functions, but I find that I never really return to it. I kind of treat mixing charts as like an exploratory exercise, and that's how I also have learned that it doesn't make sense to do too many at a time, because at some point I just stop absorbing the new information. But so there's my little palette. I did 2 yellows because I find it nice to have like a yellow I use for warm tone mixing or a yellow I use for cool tone mixing, just so that it doesn't get super muddy because it's such a light color. Also, I hope you saw the swatch. This is the most bright yellow I've ever seen in my life. Probably because it's a cadmium yellow. Then this pencil fits with the thrifty like vibe of the video because I found it on the floor. You're welcome. So cool. So now what I'm doing is I drew a grid. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know why it's 7. I think it's right because I have 2 yellows, but that doesn't make sense. I don't know. It's a grid with enough spaces for each of the mixes, and then I just put like a little glob of paint in each of the wells so that I can mix without having to go back into the pan and dirtying the pan. And so when it mixes with the Madder Rose, we get a really pretty, perfect little pink. And with the Naples Yellow Reddish, it also mixes a pink. Big surprise there. This orange is like surprisingly soft. Like I wasn't able to get a really punchy orange, but I guess that's because the brilliant purple is so cool. And the yellow is also so cool, so they lean away from each other. And then mixing it with the chromium oxide green. I had a bit of trouble actually getting like an even mix. It felt like one was dominant every single time. But I like this like funky brown that they make together. I think it's really interesting mixing really transparent and then really opaque colors together. I think the color they make is always a bit weird. And then the weirdest thing, the pink and the green, the brilliant purple and the phthalo green mixed together into a blue. That's ridiculous, but it's so cool. And then, of course, with the ultramarine violet, it mixed a beautiful, beautiful bright purple. So even though we have 2 colors in there that are called purple and yet they don't mix into a purple, they still make beautiful purples. So now I'm going to be mixing with the Madder Rose, and I hope like it makes sense how I'm doing this mixing chart. It's like one axis has each color once and the other axis does as well, and then where the 2 colors cross is where they mix. But with that you get each color twice, and the middle row is just the color mixed with itself. So that's why I'm only mixing each row once. But I thought because this is kind of self-explanatory and I don't want to just explain every single color to you. Like, you have eyes. I respect you enough to know that you have eyes. I love these murky, weird brownish, greenish colors though. I don't know how to use them, but I love them. So I thought I would ramble a little because I can, because this channel doesn't get nearly as much attention as my doll channel does. And so I feel a bit more free. I think, like, I've been wanting to make YouTube videos since I was like 12 years old and I got my first phone. And I actually did, here's some secret lore, I actually did as a 12-year-old, and it was always filmed with the worst lighting, and I just used like the pause function on my phone because I didn't know how to actually edit things. I think it's been lost to time. I can't find it anywhere anymore, but that's funny. And then at some point I felt this weird internalized shame and I just stepped away from it. And that same thing happened with dolls. I felt this like I became a teenager and just suddenly felt ashamed of just like existing in too visible of a way or too like out of the norm kind of a way. And I'm like slowly unpacking that for myself and making my funky little videos and having my little fun. And it's actually so freeing and so nice. I'm having so much fun, and it's opening doors that I never thought would open for me. Even though this is like the very start of things, I feel like this is I wouldn't say I've found huge success, but this last month I've been able to pay all of my bills just by selling my dolls. And that is a life-changing amount of success, even though I feel like it's such a like baby step of success, if that makes sense. Like I'm genuinely just so baffled and grateful that I have some sort of financial security and that it's not coming at the cost of me, working a minimum wage job in like a restaurant, which power to you if that's what you're doing, but I know that it would take so much and it would leave so little left over for my passions. And I am endlessly grateful that I somehow am able to have an iPad full of footage because I'm working on 7 different projects at the same time. Like, that's amazing. That's great. That's great. That's wonderful. That's just fantastic. And this video's over now. So bye. Thanks for watching.